I used to think we had it all figured out. Marriage, a cozy home, a little girl who lights up my world. That was my perfect life. At least, that's what I told myself every morning when I blinked awake to the chaos of spilled milk and laundry piles taller than me. "It's normal," I'd whisper as I wiped the crusted Cheerios off Emma's cheek. "This is just life." But lately, something's been off. I can't shake it. It started small, a late text that he'd forgotten to tell me about, a phone buzzing when he's in the other room. I catch his phone lighting up, but the name is hidden or just a number I don't recognize. I told myself it was work, that he's stressed, but why then does my stomach knot every time his phone slips out of his pocket? Last night I asked, "Who was that?" He shrugged, not looking up from his laptop. "Just a client." "Which one?" He didn't answer. The silence screamed louder than words. I wanted to believe him. I wanted so badly to sit down, hold his hand, and pretend we were that perfect couple I see in movies. But the gnawing doubt won't let me rest. I tried to ignore it, really. "Maybe I'm overthinking," I muttered to myself while folding tiny socks. But my heart wasn't convinced. The other morning, I woke up to an empty bed and a note on the kitchen counter. "Running late. Meeting at 9. That was fine, except he never told me last week about any meetings. When I asked, "Why didn't you tell me before?" he said, "I did." No, he didn't. I stood there, hands trembling, trying not to cry in the sunlight streaming through the window. "Are you hiding something?" His eyes darted away. "It's nothing. Just work stress. Work stress." The classic excuse. I wanted to scream, but all that came out was, "Okay." Later I found myself scrolling through his phone when he was in the shower. My hands shook, heart pounding like a drum in my ears. There it was, a message thread with a woman named Lauren. The words weren't just innocent chit-chat. "Miss you already," one message read. "Can't wait to see you." I closed the phone quickly before the tears spilled, but the damage was done. How long had this been going on? I didn't know what to do. I wanted to confront him. But what if I was wrong? What if I was ruining everything over nothing? I sat on the couch, fighting with myself, every thought a tug-of-war. He walked in, drying his hair, and caught me staring blankly. "Hey, you okay?" I forced a smile. "Yeah, just tired." He kissed my forehead. "You know I love you, right?" I nodded, but the words felt hollow. I whispered to myself, "But do you?" A few days later I overheard a conversation on the phone, hushed and hurried. "I can't wait till next week," his voice said softly. Next week? What was next week? I felt like I was drowning in questions with no answers. That night I asked, "Is there something you're not telling me?" He sighed heavily. "I'm just stressed, Cassie. Can you please not make this harder?" But it was already hard. Too hard. I spent hours staring at our wedding photos, remembering vows I wasn't sure meant anything anymore. For better or worse, I whispered to the air. "Is this worse?" My best friend Jenny called me that night. "You sound off. What's going on?" I wanted to spill everything but swallowed the words. "Nothing. Just tired, you know." "Cassie, don't lie to me. You can tell me anything." Her voice cracked through the phone, making my heart ache. I finally said, "I'm scared. I think he's hiding something." "Have you talked to him?" I tried. "He shuts me out." Jenny's silence was loud. "You deserve the truth, and you deserve to be treated better." I sighed. "I know. I just don't want to believe it." That weekend, I found a lipstick stain on his shirt. My hands froze, my breath shallow. When I asked about it, he brushed it off. "Probably from a client. You worry too much." I wanted to shout, to demand honesty, but I just nodded and walked away, feeling smaller than ever. Every night, I lay awake, listening to the house's silence, wondering what secrets filled the spaces between us. Was I imagining it? Or was our perfect life crumbling beneath me? One morning, I caught him texting again, quick and secretive. "Who's that?" I blurted. He blinked, caught. "No one. Stop." But I couldn't stop. Not anymore. My heart ached with a quiet scream. "I don't want to lose you." "But who are you?" He looked at me, eyes cold for a split second before masking it with a tired smile. "I'm still here, Cassie, but I wasn't sure he meant it. I'm trying to hold on, to us, to the life we built, but the cracks are growing, and I'm scared. One day I'll wake up and find there's nothing left to save." I woke up to the quiet hum of my phone buzzing against the nightstand. At first, I thought it was a dream, like the world was just playing a cruel joke on me, but when I reached out and saw his name lighting up the screen, I felt that pit open in my stomach all over again. I stared at the screen. There was a new message from Lauren, one I hadn't seen before. I knew I shouldn't have looked, but the curiosity, the aching need for the truth, overpowered me. I opened it. "Can't wait to see you again," it said. My heart stopped. I swallowed the lump in my throat. My hands trembled as I scrolled back. Texts filled with whispered promises and plans I wasn't part of. I pressed play on a video he sent her, a smile that wasn't meant for me, a laugh I hadn't heard in months. I couldn't breathe. How long had this been going on? How blind had I been? The next morning, I didn't say a word. I just sat at the kitchen table, replaying the messages over and over. When he came home, I forced myself to keep calm. "Hey," he said, dropping his keys on the counter. "Everything okay?" I looked up, trying to keep my voice steady. "We need to talk." He paused, eyes narrowing. "What about?" I swallowed the scream rising inside me. "I know." He laughed, but there was no humor. "There. Know what?" "That you're seeing someone else." His face tightened. "Cassie, it's not what you think." I scoffed. "Not what I think. I have the messages, the photos. I even saw the video." He ran a hand through his hair. "It didn't mean anything." "Didn't mean anything?" I repeated, my voice breaking. "You lied to me. You lied to us." "I was unhappy," he said quietly. "I didn't want to hurt you." "By cheating?" I spat. "How does that not hurt?" He looked away. "I'm sorry. I never wanted it to get this far." I stood up, rage bubbling under the surface. "Sorry doesn't fix this. You destroyed everything." He reached for me, but I stepped back. "Don't touch me." I spent the next few days in a haze. Sleep deserted me. Every little sound made me jump. My mind raced with every possible scenario, twisting memories and lies until I didn't know what to believe anymore. One night I called Jenny. "I can't do this anymore," I whispered. "I don't know if I can forgive him, or even if I want to." She was quiet for a moment. "You have every right to be angry, Cassie, but don't lose yourself in this pain." "I'm losing him," I said, "and I don't know who I am without him." When he tried to explain again, I didn't listen. The lies poured out, a desperate attempt to save himself. But I only heard the cracks in the foundation of what I thought was love. "You'll regret this," he said one night, eyes burning. "You think you're the only one who's hurting?" "I'm the only one who's been faithful," I said, voice low but steady. Days blurred into nights. I sat alone in the dark, replaying our fights, our silences, the moments I ignored the signs. I asked myself over and over, how did this happen? Where did I fail? But the hardest truth was staring me in the face. He chose her, not me. And maybe I was fooling myself all along. I never expected to see her face again. Not like this. Not as the woman standing in the kitchen, laughing like she belonged there, like she was part of my life. "Lauren," I said, voice tight. She looked up, startled, then smiled that fake, polite smile. "Cassie? Hey!" I wanted to yell, to scream, to rip that smile off her face. But all I managed was, "How long have you been coming here?" She shrugged, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "Oh, a while. Morris and I have Been close? I felt the room spin. Close? You're his co-worker, friend, and his secret, Lauren's smile faltered. I'm not trying to hurt you. Not trying to hurt me? You knew what he had at home? Her eyes dropped. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. I laughed bitterly. Of course not. You're just the other woman caught in the crossfire. She looked up sharply. That's not fair. Fair? I echoed. Do you know what it's like to find out your husband's been lying to your face? To everyone? Lauren glanced toward the door as if expecting someone. People don't know everything. We've kept it quiet. But your silence is loud enough. I took a step closer, anger rising. You told my friends you were just co-workers. You lied to my family. I didn't want to cause drama, she said softly. I didn't want to be that person. That person? You're the reason everything's falling apart. She looked at me, eyes glossy. I didn't plan for this. Neither did I. I clenched my fists. Why didn't you tell me? Why pretend? Lauren swallowed. Because I was scared. Scared? I scoffed. I was the one living a lie. She bit her lip. I'm sorry, Cassie. Sorry doesn't fix this. We stood in silence, the weight of what she'd done pressing down on me. Later I confronted Morris. How long were you lying? He looked at me, tired. Longer than you think? Was she just a fling or something more? He avoided my eyes. It became complicated. Complicated, I shouted. You made promises, built a life, then threw it away. I never wanted to hurt you. Then why? He shook his head. I don't have answers. I wanted to scream, but I just whispered. I don't even recognize you anymore. My friends started asking questions. Is Lauren really just a coworker? I didn't know what to say. The lies had spread like poison. One night, Jenny said, You have to decide if you'll expose them or protect yourself. I was torn. Part of me wanted to tear down their perfect little secret. Another part wanted to disappear, hide the shame, but deep down, I knew the truth couldn't stay buried forever. I stood in the kitchen, the silence between us thick and unbearable. Morris stared at me, eyes tired but empty. We need to talk, I said, voice shaking but firm. He sighed. What now, Cassie? I swallowed the lump in my throat. You lied. You hurt me. And now I have to decide if this is the life I want. He shook his head, voice cold. You're making this bigger than it is. I snapped back. Is it bigger? Because it feels like my whole world is crumbling. He looked away. I'm sorry, okay? I never meant to break us. Sorry doesn't fix the nights I cried alone, the times I begged for answers you wouldn't give. My voice cracked. I can't keep pretending. He stepped closer. We can work this out. No, Morris, you're not the man I married. He laughed, bitter. Maybe you never knew who I was. I felt the anger surge. I gave you everything and you threw it away. He said nothing. I took a deep breath. I'm leaving. His eyes widened. You can't. I can and I will. The days after were a whirlwind. Packing my things felt like shedding skin. Painful, but necessary. Friends whispered, Are you sure? Family looked at me with pity or judgment. Jenny called. People don't understand, but you're doing the right thing. I hope so. I whispered. Money became tight. I juggled bills, work, and motherhood alone. Nights were the hardest. Empty bed, empty promises. Morris stopped calling. When he did, his voice was distant, almost indifferent. One afternoon my mother said, You should forgive him. Marriages aren't easy. I clenched my fists. Easy or not, he broke our vows. My daughter's laughter was my anchor. Every smile reminded me why I had to be strong. I told myself, This is chaos, but it's my chaos. The weight of staying was suffocating. Walking away was terrifying, but freeing. I'm still scared. But for the first time in months, I feel a flicker of control. My life. My choice. The anger was like a fire I couldn't put out. Every lie, every betrayal, burned inside me until I knew I couldn't just sit and take it anymore. I needed to fight back, but not with screams or tears. I needed a plan. I called Jenny. I can't just let this go. I want to expose him, show everyone what he really is. She hesitated. Are you sure? That path isn't easy. I'm sure. He needs to pay for what he did. I started digging. His phone, his emails, his social media, anything I could use to build the truth. I found messages between him and Lauren that even he hadn't deleted. Secret meetings, late-night calls, promises hidden behind fake smiles. I reached out to a friend at his office. Anything unusual happening there? She whispered. There's gossip. People suspect something, but no one wants to say it out, loud. Perfect. One evening I confronted Lauren. You think you can just take everything? She looked shocked, then cold. I didn't ask for this. Didn't ask? You knew he was married. You chose this, she sneered. Better than being ignored. I clenched my fists. You're nothing but a thief. I started telling people close to us, the family, his co-workers. Their faces changed when they heard the truth. Some were angry, others were surprised. But all of them looked at him differently now. He called me one night. What are you doing? Taking back my life, I said. You're hurting our daughter. I'm saving her from lies. The legal advice came next. Custody, separation, protections. I was no longer the scared wife. I was a woman with a mission. But revenge wasn't clean. Late at night, doubts crept in. Am I becoming bitter? Am I losing myself? Jenny's voice comforted me. You're fighting for yourself. Just don't lose who you are. Some days I smiled. Other days, I cried. But I knew one thing for sure. I was no longer a victim. I was a force. It took time. More time than I ever thought I'd have. But bit by bit, I began to find myself again. My therapist, Dr. Lewis, was patient but direct. You're stronger than you realize, Cassie. Pain can break you or build you. I nodded, gripping the armrest. I want to build. Jenny came over one evening with wine and laughter. You're not alone. We're here. Her words wrapped around me like a warm blanket. One afternoon, my sister Sarah called. I'm proud of you. You're standing tall. Her support grounded me in ways I hadn't expected. Meanwhile, Morris's world started to crack. I heard whispers at work. He was withdrawn, irritable. His friends stopped calling. One day I caught a glimpse of his social media. No more photos with Lauren, no smiling captions. Just silence. Lauren's mask slipped too. Rumors floated about her coldness, her selfishness. People saw her for what? She was a temporary escape, not a true partner. I sat alone one night reflecting. I lost so much, but I found me. The anger softened into wisdom. I realized betrayal taught me boundaries, self-worth, and resilience. Jenny smiled. Look at you, rising from the ashes. I smiled back, knowing the fight wasn't over but feeling ready for whatever came next. I stood outside the cafe, heart pounding like a drum. I told myself I was ready, that this was the moment I'd waited for. But as I pushed the door open and saw them sitting there laughing, I felt my throat tighten. Morris, I said, voice firm but shaking. We need to talk. He looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes. Lauren's smile faded into something guarded. I took a deep breath. How long were you two planning to keep this from me? Morris's jaw clenched. Cassie, this isn't the time. No, it's the only time. I deserve the truth. I looked at Lauren. And you should know what you've done. Lauren's eyes darted away. I didn't force him. No, but you fed his lies, I said, voice rising. You took my family and turned it into your playground. She stood abruptly. I'm sorry, Cassie. Really. Sorry won't fix this. I stared at them both. You destroyed years of trust. I'm not the broken one here. Morris's face crumbled. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I shook my head. Sorry doesn't erase the nights I cried, the days I begged for answers. Lauren whispered. We never meant for this to happen. But it did, I said. And now we have to live with it. I felt tears, but this time I didn't let them fall. I'm taking back my life. This ends now. They looked at me, stunned. I smiled, small, but fierce. This is my closure. I turned away, feeling lighter but aware the scars would stay. Healing wasn't a moment. It was a journey. It took me longer than I wanted to admit. But I'm finally here. Breathing, healing, moving on. Jenny called last week. You sound different, stronger. I laughed softly. I'm trying. It's not easy, but I'm learning. Tell me what's changed. I stopped letting the past define me. I started saying no to things that drained me, to people who kept me stuck. Boundaries felt like armor, but necessary. My sister Sarah invited me out. You deserve to have fun, Cassie. For the first time in months, I smiled without guilt. Maybe I do. I met new people, friends who don't judge my scars but see my strength. We laugh, share stories, and remind each other that life goes on. Sometimes the pain sneaks in. A song, a smell, a memory. But I let it come and go like a storm passing. One night I sat alone, looking out at the city lights. I'm not who I was before, I whispered. And that's okay. Morris reached out once, but I didn't answer. I'm choosing peace over chaos. Emma's laughter fills my home now. She's growing, and so am I. I've learned that healing isn't a destination, it's a journey. And I'm ready to walk it step by step.